Thanks for having me today, Ivane, Ex Ponto.
You're welcome.
I'm really happy because, I actually will try to have a chronological order because I get excited.
Hey, this is Lucia aka Živa, creator and host of Serial Music Talks podcast. Each month I sit down with musicians, music producers and sound designers based in Melbourne to talk about the real challenges we face in the industry, whether it's breaking into new markets, battling imposter syndrome, overcoming writer's block, or just navigating the cruel world of social media. I approach these conversations as an artist myself, and like most of us, I'm also just trying to figure it all out on the go. A new episode drops every last Tuesday of the month, so if you want to stay connected, you can subscribe to my newsletter via Substack. Just find the link somewhere below, above.
It's Monday today, Monday after the grand final. And my question is, are you working today as people who have 9-to-5 jobs, or is art full-time thing that you do?
Good question. It was my birthday yesterday, so I'm trying to take it a little bit easy today, not work too hard. But I run a small public art company called Little Projector Company. So I'm the general manager, and basically help run the operations and do everything from AV technician work to projection mapping to art creation. So that's how I spend most of my time, and that does include some sound design and music elements as well. I've just been working on a few projects this morning, and probably call it a day soon after this interview.
But I guess I would still say that it counts as something that you've created yourself, like from your practice, because I know that you've been, from all the research that I've done, I really felt like visuals and music always went together for you. Most of the projects are multidisciplinary.
Usually, yeah. I studied multimedia when it was a thing at university, so I had an honours degree in multimedia and really liked that kind of, call it the deep sea of music, light and the moving image. It's like, and I felt they were all kind of intertwined, and it's just something I've sort of carried on with. And when I met Lee, who's my current business partner, he'd been doing similar work, so then we kind of joined forces, and Little Projector Company was born.
But I also saw, so did you do your honors at Monash?
I did, yeah.
I saw some of your projects I wanted to ask you about, because currently what I'm exploring with Živa is our CCTV cameras and just like surveillance. And then I saw your work Exit Everywhere, which was an interesting take on the surveillance mechanisms.
Yeah, I was definitely exploring that world of surveillance paranoia through that film. It's going back almost maybe 20 years ago. When I finished my multimedia degree, I was, kind of focused on art-based projects where there are other students that were doing more websites, so then I was like, maybe I need to do fine art. So then I kind of switched and did an honours in fine art at Monash, and then sort of got into cymatics really, which is where it kind of really triggered it, and a kind of study of wave phenomena and be able to see images, through sound and vibration. That's when I got really excited about the potential for bringing those two worlds together. And I still run workshops in cymatics.
Okay, so you're still doing it, because I saw that a lot of your projections are based on cymatics.
Yeah, some are, some aren't. I've worked with Baba Noir a fair bit, Turkish Melbourne DJ, and that often I use, like bits from films and just kind of edit live. But yeah, I do still use quite a lot of cymatics in my videos. So.
It seems like, even as soon as I walked into the studio, there's lots of equipment, but at the same time, there's a lot of instruments, and you said that you're self-taught. So I am very curious, and from all the works that I've seen, it seems like it is very multimedia. Mm-hmm. But how, were you always like this? Were you always exploring things? How do you come about learning a new instrument or a new media?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I started out on guitar, so that was my first thing when I was, a teenager. And oddly enough, I grew up listening to only electronic music in Melbourne. It was just like, into acid and techno and German trance.
So that was before the guitar.
That was before.
Okay. Because I was like, what?
Yeah. So then I sort of discovered punk and folk, and then So it wasn't until probably first year uni, 19, that I actually picked up a guitar, 18 or 19, and just started kind of teaching myself, looking up tablature and working out how to read tablature, and then just learning songs. And then, I met one of my lecturers at uni, my lecturer in sound, Jerome, who was like, we should have a jam sometime. And he was a drummer, and we got together, and just that's kind of how it started. I started playing guitar with Jerome, and then we had a few other people join and form this improvisation collective called Council of Elders, and proceeded to jam every week for 10 years, and I recorded everything during that 10 years, and released about 30 albums over that time.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's more just and then from then I picked up the drums and the bass and then sax, and just spending time with the instrument. And I read a Captain Beefheart biography back then, and he was talking about that kind of aleatoric approach that he uses, where he'll pick up an instrument for the first time and just play and capture that, and then learn to play that. And I really resonated with me. It was just like that kind of really honest, primitive, for lack of a better word, instinctive playing. I find where the magic is,
Yeah. Well, I recently just watched a short interview with Tyler, the creator, and I actually recently only discovered him and managed to get onto his concert in Melbourne, which was really great. But then I would hear all these harmonies and like notes, and I would be like, oh, this must be, he must be educated, all the soul, I don't even know, but it sounds like jazz, right? And then I was listening to his interview, and he's like, oh no, he literally just picks up an instrument and just explores it, which is great to hear, because I don't have any education, and obviously you don't, but I've listened to, this entire morning and over the weekend, I was listening to all of your stuff on SoundCloud. There's so much material, and now it makes sense that it's because it's also a lot of people are featured, or I can see that you're everywhere. You've been quite active in the scene.
Yeah, I guess it's an obsession that's, I've had from a very young age, and, kind of I've managed a record store for 10 years, and music's always been a big thing, so. Yeah.
But so it seems like it is really full time. This is what you do.
Well, it's still very much a hobby, It's I don't earn a lot of money from music, the record store business, I've moved away from, and it's not something I've been a part of for nearly 10 years now. But yeah, I mean, I guess that the public art realm is my main work. But yeah, music has always just been out of necessity, It's almost like self-care or something, where I just need to play music to feel, normal.
Oh, okay. So it's because I wanted to ask you about your, where you come from and your ancestry, because actually that's how I met you first time through our mutual friend Phil. Hi Phil. I'm sure that Phil will listen to this episode. But then I saw you live. We'll get back to that. But you're originally from Bosnia, right?
Yeah, I was born in Foča in Bosnia to Serbian parents, and late 80s we decided to migrate to Melbourne. My auntie and uncle and their family, dad's sister, had been living in Melbourne since the late 60s. So I think when people kind of felt like there was a war brewing. And where we lived in Gorazde, but I was born in Foča, and where we lived was absolute hellfire. After we left, we sort of managed to get out of there, a couple of years before the war. So we're very lucky in that regard. but yeah, I've been in Melbourne most of my life since then. Yeah.
And I first saw you. Now that we're talking about instruments, I saw you at the Russian House. Your live performance,
Yeah.
I've seen at the Russian House, and then I remember you started the show by playing gusle, and I was like, whoa! I actually wasn't expecting that. I wasn't, I didn't know much about your stuff beforehand, and I liked that, to be surprised. So immediately I thought, okay, so it seems like, ancestry plays a big role in your inspiration, in your music. Is that
Absolutely.
true?
Yeah, my dad's brother, my uncle Petka, is a master gusle player, so that's kind of the reason I got into it. So when I was there in 2016, I bought myself a gusle from a gusle maker in Novi Sad in Serbia, and my uncle actually lives in Serbia. He did the unthinkable thing that for Serbian men to join his wife's family after getting married, because it's usually the woman that goes to the man's, and he was like, nah, I'm going to go to live with my wife. So he migrated from Bosnia to Serbia and has spent his life there, and he's still there now in southern Serbia near Vladičin Han.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to frame this question properly, but I feel like I actually, I've been going through your work, and the first thing that I've noticed, so apart from gusle, I also listened to a lot of your sound design, and I even heard, doing mixes and having like house tour and a lot of like XU bands in your mixes, a lot of Bosnian language there, and then that was the first thing. But then I also saw that you do a lot of site-specific things, and then I wondered if that doesn't make sense to have a question that, is this a way for you to explore your sense of belonging? I don't know, maybe this is me as a migrant looking at your work, but I feel like all your art is sort of exploring grounding, sense of belonging, and I don't know.
That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Interesting you pick up on that, because it does feel that way, I feel like I'm always searching for some kind of belonging or identity, and through the music it just seems like a natural way to do that. But with the site-specific work, that's also, very much the public artwork that I do.
Yeah.
It's often in response to a place and space. So yeah, I really love responding to a story as well, or to a field recording, and like not just just pulling notes from the air, but actually responding to something. So my current release that's coming out on DJ Earl Grey's label, Best Effort Music. He's got a series called Interior Music, so it's a long form piece that I made for an exhibition for Melbourne Design Week, which celebrated native grasslands. Grasslands, I'm not sure whether you're aware, but they're very much endangered in Australia. There's less than 0.1 of 1% remaining, and there's such an important ecosystem on a number of levels. And I've been working on a feature documentary about this as well, which is another part of my work.
A hobby, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited about that release, because I literally went out to a cemetery out in the Victorian Volcanic Plain, Bannockburn Cemetery, where there's one of the very few remnant grasslands remaining, and did a field recording off the grassland and everything, the bird life and the insects that were there, and then composed the music in response to those sounds that I was hearing. So and because it was for an exhibition, it was going to be played on a loop for a week or 10 days straight. I kind of designed it to be listened to at a low volume, because I kind of didn't want the staff or people just to get bored of listening to this thing. So I was like, really, I didn't want it to be too busy, and so it's quite spacious.
For how long is the?
It's about a 20-minute piece. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not sure when it's released, but it should be pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just listened to some of the. Is it called Often?
The Inner Quarry record, yes.
I've listened to it this entire morning.
Oh, cool.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks.
I'm not. I think that. And again, this is not just because you're my guest today. I really thought this morning while I was listening to it, I was like, I think I'm starting to like this type of sound design more. I've never actually been listening to, because I do feel like it's more sound design piece
Yeah, for sure.
and like like conceptual piece rather than just music, whatever.
Absolutely.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, that was very much a lockdown project. My friend Joe, whose voice you hear on the recording, and his son Augie gave me the recording and said, "Oh, can you do something with this sonically?" And I listened to it a few times, and it was just like, I could hear it. I could hear the soundtrack straight away. I didn't have to, it came out really naturally. I just kind of, got it to the studio, probably spent a day or two recording, and it just kind of come together. There was I'd spend quite a lot of time at that place once again. So had field recordings from that site where the snake incident happened in the Otways. It's an incredible site in Beach Forest. It's called the Project's Quarry, if you want to have a look at it. But
I saw something on your SoundCloud. But
So there's always interesting stuff going out there, and like Joe and his team have been rehabilitating the site. It's an old quarry, which has been going through a process of rehabilitation for about 10 years, and I just spent quite a lot of time documenting projects and field recording there. And in the recording, you can actually hear, like, my partner Sarah. Like we stayed out there one night, and some of the percussion is her like cutting vegetables in the background. It's just like, and then I just kind of loop sections and.
Wow, but how do you go about those field recordings? Like, do you? Maybe you can just guide me through the process of so in this case you have a particular place where you go to because it's related to the project. Do you start to first listen and experience, or do you start immediately recording and then maybe trying to paint a picture?
Usually, I will spend time at a place first and then think about it, and I find with dawn chorus, dawn is always my favorite time, when everything's waking up. So that's kind of like my go-to, really. But I'd already spent quite a bit of time at the quarry before Joe gave me the recording. I'd had quite a few of these recordings from that time that I spent there. So
wow, I really love the design. I think it really was an inspiration to me.
Oh, thank you. And I was kind of lucky enough because I sent it to my friend Vladimir, who released it on his label, Offer Music, and without that intention. But he was just like, "What are you doing with this?" And I planned on doing a private press. I did do a private press just with Joe. We did like 10 copies, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm going to release this." So then, I had a couple of other tracks that went on the other side that I recorded around that time.
Okay, well, so many questions that I have. Just trying to stay on track. I guess the first thing that I wanted to ask you, continuing on the Gusle. So did you feel, how connected are you actually with your hometown? How often do you go? Like, I guess your family?
Yeah. I guess since about, so 2004 was the first time that I went back. And then there was a period that I didn't go, but I've been sort of trying to go every 1 or 2 years since, about 2015, so for the last 10 years, I've been quite a few times. And I'll spend bit of time with my family, and I spent quite a bit of time in Belgrade, where I've also got family and lots of friends.
Okay.
And then try to, visit a new part of the Balkans every time. So, this year we went to a couple of places in Montenegro that we hadn't been to, and in the past we've driven around Croatia and Bosnia and Slovenia. So yet to go to Macedonia.
Because it seems like you left Bosnia quite young, yet at the same time, if I go on your page, it seems like you have a really strong connection, like at least on the music scene level, like releasing music with people over there. I saw that you've played with Lalic, who is also another Melbourne-based Serbian musician here. I saw that you had a impromptu performance at 2044. So it actually seems like you've had an established name there, and then you moved to Melbourne, but it feels like it's another way around. It's not that easy to break. It's like far away, and I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I just really enjoy spending time in the Balkans, and it feels like a part of myself. It's just, as it's a very different world, way of living and expressing ourselves, and food, and it's just very different to here. So I think I would just continue going back as much as I can. Hopefully spend longer periods of time. I think 2016 was probably the longest I spent. It was about 3 months just in Serbia, and Worked on a festival in Novi Sad, just doing some video documentation.
Okay.
It was the art and politics of improvisation was the festival, so it was just like right down my alley. It was run by Chris Cutler from a band called Henry Cow. And there's a whole bunch of experimental musicians from around Europe that kind of gathered in Novi Sad and just spoke about the art and politics of improvisation for 2 or 3 days. And
Sounds like a great festival.
it was really, really great. And I felt really lucky to be there at that time and be given the opportunity to document it for the team. So that called Media Centre was the place that held it.
It definitely, not just with the Gusle, but the more I listen to the more I see your work, the more it's quite visible how your identity is a bit, it's fractured, or at least, but not in a bad way. It's just like here and there. Yeah. But it's really interesting to see how you manage to. It still feels very cohesive. That's what I want to say.
Oh, great.
I know it's hard to maintain that connection. You want to invest in energy over there, and you feel the need. It's not like you can say no. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then at the same time, this is where you live.
That's it. Yeah. So I'm always kind of towards like, because I've been working on another solo record for a couple of years now that I've just finished, and I had it mixed and mastered in Belgrade by a guy called Goran from the band Tapan. He's got a studio there. La Plante is his business, and so I was just like, do I get it mixed in Australia? But I really love Goran's sound and what he does, so I kind of just trusted him with it, and he basically just made it sound how I imagined it could, So, and that's finished, and it's called Odlazak, Departure. Okay. It's kind of a conceptual album of about sort of returning, sort of leaving, departing, traveling, and then kind of returning to this place. Which might be, referred to as home, but it's got kind of a circular sort of narrative through it. But yet to be released. I've just sent it to Vladimir to see what he thinks. But I might be shopping around for a label to release it.
Ooh, I can't wait. I was about to ask you what is next? What's do you have at least a idea when would you release it?
I think it's done. My friend Rick is working on the artwork at the moment, and my partner Sarah is a photographer, so she's having an exhibition next year also called Odlazak, because she's been kind of documenting my journey of returning back for a few years now. So it's going to be photographs from that, and that's for November next year. So I don't know, it'd be sometimes. Yeah.
I look forward to that. I feel like you might resonate with me. Do you think there's anything different about this apart from?
There's Gusle on it again. Probably, yeah. It's hard. It's hard to. It feels like it's probably my third kind of solo album, and it feels somewhere in between the first two. There's it's probably more song based than the last one.
Like you singing
on one track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah, I find it really hard to talk about my own music.
Well, that's why you're using music.
Yeah, that's it.
Rather than some other medium. Well, you are doing many mediums.
But I guess some of the influence, it's ended up being a lot more guitar-y than I expected. We listen back to it, and there's quite a lot of guitar in it. So I really love the Durruti column and some sort of 80s sort of guitar music, and then there's some dub elements. And then, krautrock has always been a big...
Yeah, actually, when I first heard you play, apart from the Gusle, I immediately felt like krautrock. I grew up listening to a lot of krautrock, and it was just... And I feel like in the Balkans, it was really strong. I don't know how it was. I can't say how it was, growing up here and what was the music that was popular, but... For me there in Croatia, it was like krautrock was really big.
Yeah.
And you just literally transported me there. I was like, whoa. That's why, for me, it was really interesting to see how you're well-established Melbourne musicians, yes, yet you have a really strong influence of, it's like you actually grew up there. I don't know. I don't want to focus on that as much, but it's just really interesting because a lot of people who I've met who migrated here very young, that it wasn't as easy to find that grounding back home.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I wanted to ask you actually, is there an artist like who really inspired you, or like?
Yeah, absolutely. Mitar Subotic, I'm not sure whether you know him.
A little bit.
Yeah, went under the name Rex Illusive, like King of Illusions, and Sulba as well, and yeah, just recorded a really wide range of interesting sonic, experimental music. He's a classically trained pianist, but yeah, then got into synths, and he won a UNESCO award for his second album, In the Moon Cage, which had lots of kind of folk music mixed in with electronics, and on the back of that moved to Brazil to record and continue his music career, and fell in love with Sao Paulo and ended up there for the last 10 years of his life until tragically his studio caught on fire and he ended up passing of smoke inhalation really tragically. And but yeah, has left behind an incredible legacy and yeah, such a, like, on a world scale, unique kind of sound, and yeah, I would say he would definitely be one of my biggest inspirations for continuing to make music.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, another thing, I now we're going to go back to the first question about, is this your full-time job? I guess you call this a hobby. I guess I understand, because you don't want to, if it's work, then it sort of destroys the even the beauty of it in a way.
I think that's the fear, it's like music's so special. Like if it became, because I have had it like a weekly DJ gig where I'm just like every week playing records, and even that started becoming a bit like it's not that fun anymore. So I was like, I walked away from that. So it's like if making music was and performing was my full-time gig, I feel like I would probably just not do it.
True, but at the same time, I feel like you have so many outlets. Like you could, like it's. Of course, I'm not saying that you should call yourself like an artist full time. It's completely up to you. I'm just thinking that even the public art, the projectionist work is. It's all in the art industry.
It is, yeah. I guess I am a full-time artist, and we call it a project company, an artist-run organisation. So, whilst there is a lot of business management and technical stuff. We are creating a lot of the time. In terms of making records and performing music live, I think it's definitely a late night task for me usually.
But do you? So I guess obviously you don't master your own music, but do you mix? How much of the process?
Yeah.
Because I also saw that you collaborate a lot. So I'm just curious, how much of the process do you share with other people?
Yeah, so this is the first time I've had somebody else mix my music. Yeah, so my first two records I've mixed myself and had them mastered. But yeah, I felt like it was time to reach out, and just to hear somebody else's take on it. And I think now that I've done it once, it's probably something I'll continue to do. Is I'll get mixes into shape to a level where roughly this is where I want them, and then I just what got done with others, like I think is just really lifted it to a new level.
How many songs are there?
There's seven tracks in total. It's about 40 minutes, just under 40 minutes. Yeah.
I'm really interested to hear that. Maybe you'll play me it.
Yeah.
Once we press stop on the recording. And what is, this is something that I always ask everyone, like, what does your typical day look like in the studio? Oh, like, what a typical day. If this is Monday.
Yeah, there is no typical day in my world. Yeah, it's like, it's so varied. You know, for example, you know, last week, you know, I was in Horsham for 3 days working on a film to be of a book. So yeah, converting a book into a film that's going to be shown at the Natty Fringe Festival this year. And then I have days where I'm in the studio.
And what was your role? Sorry. Well,
so yeah, projection designer
okay.
and tech and editor. So it varies. You know, some days I'm just in my studio. I have a studio at Bullen Place in Brunswick. So yeah, often I'll be there editing or doing admin. But then yeah, a lot of my work is at night. So yeah, we have projectors fitted. You know, obviously projections after dark. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, we're working on pretty amazing project this week called Projections of a Current Future, which we've been working on for a while with a few different artists. It's led by Auntie Carolyn Briggs and Amina Briggs, and it's retracing the story of the eels through projection art. Yeah, so there's a few different sites that we're exploring around town through projection. So we'll be installing a few projectors this week and running a tour.
So is the process like, you know, they reach out to you to also not just to, I guess, run technically the projections, but also to pretty much be the projectionist, to design the projections?
For sure, yeah. We're often in that sort of projection design space. We were lucky enough to have Amina Briggs working on this one, another animator, Sean Healy, that we work with quite a lot. And then, yeah, we'll bring our sort of tech expertise to it. But, you know, sometimes we commission ourselves to create an artwork for a specific site, through festivals and different councils.
Yeah, I haven't experienced any of your site-specific works. I've seen them online. I've seen you doing some projections on live performances, like with, there was a Baba Noir. But yeah. Yeah,
Taipan Tiger Girls was one of my favourite kind of live VJ gigs that I used to do regularly with the late Ollie Olsen and his band trio. It was like really high energy live shows, and I'm kind of use a lot of the cymatics work, and they were like.
And were you doing it impromptu or like improvising? How much?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of their live sets were improvised, so I would just kind of improvise the visuals with what I was hearing. I would have, you know, a catalogue of cymatics.
Okay, so you would record the cymatics. Yeah. Okay, so that was the process.
That's it, yeah. But, you know, sometimes I'll do it live, or I'll have a live feed, you know, stereo output going into my cymatic speaker and a macro lens, and then do that live.
Okay. Wow. I want to see that live again. I also wanted to ask you, do you, I don't know, I'm just thinking, you know, about the things you are in the music industry. Maybe it doesn't seem, well, at least this is my reading from, you know, your Instagram and from your SoundCloud and whatnot. It seems like you're chilled. You're not very much into like, oh, what's happening with the music industry, gamifying everything, social media, blah, blah. But I still, you know, you never know. Do you feel pressured by how things are changing? Do you feel like it's changing?
Not really. It's like music's like, it's always been so kind of personal for me. It's just about the creating, you know, and once I've made something, then it's like I just let it go. Let it go, that's it.
You don't have a problem with letting go? You don't have a problem with finishing?
No. I mean, well, I do. Yeah, like this last album definitely took way longer than it should have, you know.
What is that? Well, how long?
I probably... What year is it?
It's 2025. Yeah. It's September.
So it's probably like 3 or 4 years in the making, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like it was probably almost done a year ago, and then I just kind of was like, oh, maybe it's not there, and then maybe tweaked a little bit, and then eventually I saw Gordon when I was in Belgrade recently, and I was like, I'm going to send you the album too, and then he just kind of finished it, and I'm just like, all right, it's done now.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Well, it's good that you're not pressured by it. Like you don't, it sort of doesn't interrupt your process.
Not really, yeah. it's about the ritual, isn't it, of creating and performing. You know, I feel like in your music as well, it's probably a bit like that too, right?
It is like I'm trying to it's like I just can't not do the ritual, and I cannot just sit down and express what I'm thinking. But I do sometimes get into that rabbit hole of like going online and then, just seeing that, maybe I should be pushing more. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just sometimes do get caught into, maybe I should push for more. But then at the same time, I'm like, I just want to create music or whatever else.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a confusing field for me sometimes. I don't know. Especially because I feel like I still have to build my connections, and I think that's the guilt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly going out, seeing music, and constantly listening, and it's just like naturally making connections, without really looking to. And I find that's always the best way to do it.
It is. I feel like even just through having these conversations, I've made so much, so many good connections, like connections that last, connections that are well established, or even, I don't know, collaborations. So I don't think that you have to push for social media, but I don't know. Depends on what do you want to get out of it. And, what I wanted to say is, do you ever feel like because the reason why I would ask this question is like, I've been doing music for a long time, and then only recently, maybe like 3 or 4 years, I started doing multimedia stuff. And it's great, but it also at moments feels a bit overwhelming in a sense that like, okay, so at the same time, you want to have things commissioned and worked on them because you like that, but also it brings in some money, right? But do you have a problem with, controlling the tension between, okay, so this is something that you're doing for other people, or this is the music that you really want to do and like something that you want to say? How do you manage that with time? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. So like, I guess, with my solo music, there's no pressure because it's, I call the shots, and like I can just take my time, and no one's going to force me to release anything or put pressure on me to like do anything. So like that can just be slow and organic. But and then for the public art stuff, it's usually on a deadline, and I'm working to a timeline, I guess. Yeah. So there's such different worlds. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's just it's interesting because I feel like I'm my own worst boss. Like when it comes to my stuff, I'm like, you gotta release it right now. You gotta release it right now, or whatever. You gotta do this right now.
Yeah. I feel like I'm never trying to keep up with any fads or anything. So it's like it's not like I'm in a rush to get something out. So it's like in with whatever's going on. I'm just like making whatever I feel like making. Yeah.
True. But how do you think that you're now already established enough that, like, do you feel like you have to hustle a lot, or like, for
Not really. Like I play probably a handful of shows a year, and that's enough for me. Like it. Like I said, it's not my job, so it's like it's literally just.
But even for your job, like, do you feel like?
I think we're in a place where we've been doing it for over 10 years now, and we just get lots of work coming through. And there's I guess the way we approach projection-based public art is quite unique, and I don't think there's any other companies that do what we do the way we do it. There's like center projection art that are great, but once again it's a very different business model. But yeah, we work with communities a lot, run lots of workshops. We love like just really responding to place, and capturing stories, working with First Nations quite a lot the last few years. It's a project called the Dreaming Project, led by a Roger artist called Dylan Singh that we've been collaborating with quite a lot. And yeah, like, this country has so many stories to tell, and I don't think we'll ever run out of work.
Yeah, I've noticed that in your portfolio that there's like a lot of that's why I would really like to experience them.
If you can, come to the Festival of Fungi. We work on a fungi festival out in Euroa every 2 years. We've done 3 times now for the last 60 years. Unfortunately, I have to wait till the year after next because we did it this year. But we work with a mycologist called Alias who's absolutely incredible. Fungi expert and photographer and artist. And then we got there and we run workshops with the schools responding to fungi. So we do creative workshops, animation, sound creation, performance, and then we capture all of this in the workshops and project it out onto an old hotel out in Euroa for one night.
When is that? Like
it's usually in autumn. So it'll be next one will be in 2027. Yeah.
Okay, you got me there because I go and like I pick mushrooms.
Cool.
I'm not. Well, maybe, yeah. I sort of think that I'm not a nature person, but then mushroom picking is like I can just do that every day, all day. It's just something about the exploration. I don't know. I started doing it 2 years ago, and I just now do it every year.
Amazing.
Like, it's
still such a mystery. There's still so much to learn about.
True. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll definitely come to that. So what I also wanted to ask is just a little bit about your studio.
Yeah.
And just to like, because one of the things I want to, tell our listeners, whoever is listening, about the space we're at right now. Yeah. And you're a really good person to now do that as an expert in site specific.
It's the third iteration of my studio. So my first one was called The Womb. It was probably 3 or 4 times this size, and it had a piano and a Hammond organ. It was a lot bigger, but it was out in the burbs. It was a fair way out, and it had a lot of special times. Recorded a lot of music in there, and then the second one was not far from here. It was kind of similar size. It was called The Twomb.
Okay.
As you can see, I've got a bit of an obsession with birth, death, and actually released an album called Birth, Death with another band I played with called Wunderlust. And then this one is called The Twomb. It's the combination of the two, and hopefully it's this is it. But yeah, behind you, we're looking at a painting made at the Forum Theatre by a German band called Faust when they toured. I can't remember what year it was. I'd say at least 10 or 15 years ago. So they did that live on stage at the Forum, and I stuck around and bought it off them and carried it all the way down.
How much did you pay for it?
I think it was $200.
Okay, wow.
Carried it down Flinders Street and down to South Bankton, left it at a friend's house, and then picked it up the next day because I didn't have my vehicle with me.
Opansi,
yeah, my village shoes. I usually got my gusto in there, but I was playing inside.
Yeah, I saw them. I actually saw them in another. Okay.
And then all this the soundproofing I actually got not long ago from Nick DJ Earl Grey, who runs an incredible yoga / listening studio in Brunswick called Tender. They do like deep listening sessions.
They're just putting up an event with Zoltan and Genevieve. Genevieve, I don't know. Yeah. I just saw it this morning. Yeah, deep listening, and I was like, if I can make it, I'll go.
Yeah. So it was really great space. So I got those off him. He was getting rid of them, and then you can see the ivy that's growing into the building.
Yeah, you have. Is that a wine leaf? No,
it's an ivy that's growing.
Ivy, yes. Okay, so we have some plants. Going through the building.
A book that I pull out occasionally called "Mixing with Your Mind."
What is that?
It's kind of a book about mixing and recording music, just kind of simple tips about mic placement and
okay, maybe I should. I will write that down. Mixing with your mind.
Yeah. And
there's a sax.
808 and 303 and
guitar, bass.
Yeah, many lines.
It's very cozy. You have a lot of like I don't know, jam. I don't know how to categorize drums. Percussion instruments. I don't want to say.
There's another room of percussion stuff there.
Oh, really? Okay. I can see that you have the same sound card that I am, SSL 360.
Yeah, that one and the Fireface 800. I kind of use that one for live, and often this one for. I find the pre's and the Fireface a little bit nicer.
Really? I just bought it maybe like a few months ago, SSL 360, and it's really good for vocals. And I pretty much, when I'm like, this is another question. Like when I start doing music, I start with vocals, but I guess just because I'm most comfortable, and then I sometimes, play the melody that I've sang, and that's how I build the song. How do you start? Is there a particular instrument?
It's really different every time. I mean, the stuff I'm making at the moment has like 12 layers of percussion, and that's it, So yeah, I'm sort of moving into more kind of rhythmic based music,
How come? Have you been listening to?
Yeah, I mean, I've always listened to rhythmic music, but I guess, I don't know, it's just what I felt like making.
Yeah, fair enough. No,
in an ideal world, I would have 12 percussionists playing live, and but that's not really feasible.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I don't know. You know a lot of people, so maybe you could, next time you have a party, maybe you should get that organized rather than the party.
That's it. But yeah, it could just turn into a really bad drum circle,
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to mention this book, Ex Ponto, which is my artist name, by Iva Andrić. So I'd been looking for an English translation of this book from 1918 of prose poetry, and couldn't find it anywhere. I looked online, looked far and wide. It didn't exist. So I started translating it. So I started doing a translation of an English translation. I was kind of like maybe a third of the way through, and in 2019, I was in Serbia, in Kostingrad. The filmmaker Emir Kusturica, he's got this like ethno village, and I was in the restaurant with my partner having lunch, and there's a library in the restaurant, and like right next to me were 3 copies of this book, Ex Ponto.
What?
And it's English translation, so half in Serbian, so really half in English, but also illustrated. And I was like, what? How is this possible? And I asked the waiter, I was like, can I buy this? And he was just like, no, sorry, it's not for sale. Sorry. I was like, you don't understand. I need this book. Like, I can't find it anywhere. And he was just like, look, take it to your room, have a read, and just don't return it. I was like, are you sure? He was like, yes, that's fine. So I was like, all right, well, give me your address and I'll send you something in return. So when I got back, I took the book and sent addressed to Emir Kusturica a copy of my first record, Ex Ponto, as a exchange. So
wow.
Yeah.
Just to give the listeners, although like I will name you as Ex Ponto, but like, so your artist name is Ex Ponto, which means actually of the sea. Well, how would you actually it
was hard, once again, really hard to find an exact translation, but the ones I found is of the sea or of the Black Sea, and it's the idea of, for me, it's kind of a metaphor of like diving into the deep sea of mind to bring back these kind of ideas that are potentially hiding there, waiting to be discovered. And yeah, my mum's maiden name is Andrić, and she's not far from Visegrad, so a connection as well.
So Ivo Andrić is like a very renowned author from Bosnia, from Visegrad.
Yeah.
This is insane. I would feel like this is destiny. It's sort of like you've been caught up by your,
It was so weird, yeah.
Wow. Well, you definitely deserve this book. And, wow. Amazing. I think this is a great way to finish this episode. But actually, do you want to say something, or like, have I missed asking you something, or do you want to ask me something? I don't know.
I am kind of curious of where, I know it's not the podcast you've come to interview, but I'm kind of curious to hear about what you're doing at the moment with your music and what's next. And I know you played at Dark Murphy earlier this year.
Yeah, that was insane. What's next? I just finished my album. That's why I was asking you about your album, how long it took you, because I feel like I've been postponing the ending of the album. It's like, I think I've been talking about it as being finished for almost this full year. But now I think I let it go. So I think it's been a week that I've decided, okay, I'm letting it go. It's time.
Amazing. Oh.
So I think I'm in that phase of just sort of realizing, okay, it is finished. I don't know if you ever have that sense, because sometimes now some of the songs that I've disliked, I now like, but some of the songs that I've made that I've liked, now I'm starting to dislike. I just feel like it's time to get it out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you ever get that sense.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I almost felt that with my current album as well. It's just like I've just been sitting there for too long, and I think it was just getting it, somebody else's ears on it and getting it mixed and mastered by someone else that kind of finished it for me. So, and I'd already been working on so much new stuff, and I was like, I can't move on, unless this is like done and behind me. So yeah.
Do you plan on having a launch or anything?
I think so. Yeah, I'll do something hopefully later in the year.
Okay.
Maybe next year. I'm not sure when it will actually come out. If no one wants to release it.
So you want?
Yeah, I'll send it to a couple of labels and see if they want to put it out, and if not, I'll just release it myself.
Self-release. Well, you were the manager of a record store, so you were also in managing the publishing stuff.
I was doing a lot of it was that for Dixon's Records, so it was I think the longest running record store in Melbourne since the late 70s. They've been around, and I walked into a store while I was 20 years old, just out of uni, and asked for a job, and they said, we actually need someone, and ended up staying there. Went on to manage a store and did a lot of the buying. So did a lot of kind of traveling around and picking up collections and bringing them back, and just lots of time sorting records.
But that's great because you've been exposed to
that's it, yeah. Which I think sometimes makes it harder to make music because you've been exposed to so much. It's like deciding, what am I going to make today? It's like I love so many genres of music. It's so now I just kind of just like try to just go in and play, and I've never been one to kind of like pinpoint a sound or go out to make a certain type of record. I just kind of just make music and see what comes out. Yeah.
Okay, last question, and then we'll finish. What was the best advice that you ever were given to? Is that like it can be anything, but I guess that we're more in the creative context.
It's funny you ask that, because like the first thing that comes to mind, I don't know if it was good advice or not, but it definitely worked. I was at a Serbian wedding when I was maybe like 15 at the Serbian Sports Centre in Keysborough, and I was kind of enamored by this turbo folk trio, and started chatting to the guitarist, and I was like, what, how do I play like you? I want to and he's just like, just go home and try to play as many notes as possible as quickly as you can. Don't think about what you're hitting, and just practice doing that every day. And so I did, and I was just like, just to get my fingers moving. And then I started learning kind of tablature, and I think, I don't know, it really resonated with me. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that.
And it kind of, it helped, in terms of improvisation. It's like just letting go and playing. I really love that. Not overthinking.
Yeah, playing.
Yeah.
Great, thanks for that. I think I'm gonna definitely take that, because I get a bit. I think I went too much into the structured, but now I'm like sort of fuck it. I just wanna play, have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I love the opposite end. I love artists like Oren Ambachi is one of my favorite local composers, lives abroad now, but he will play one note for an hour, but just in so many different ways. So I love that as well. The other side of not
so
playing so many notes.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to play that many notes, but okay, I'll take that. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck with your album. I can't wait.
Hey, this is Lucia aka Živa, creator and host of Serial Music Talks podcast. Each month I sit down with musicians, music producers and sound designers based in Melbourne to talk about the real challenges we face in the industry, whether it's breaking into new markets, battling imposter syndrome, overcoming writer's block, or just navigating the cruel world of social media. I approach these conversations as an artist myself, and like most of us, I'm also just trying to figure it all out on the go. A new episode drops every last Tuesday of the month, so if you want to stay connected, you can subscribe to my newsletter via Substack. Just find the link somewhere below, above.